adults and newspapers over to try to keep warm. He tells about the story one time where a railman caught him, and you weren't supposed to ride the rail cars. But Dad was so hungry and young, the guy gave him his sandwich and told him to get out of the car and get out of here, right to the west. So, I mean, it's a rough life between 9 and 15, 18, whatever years it was. He grew up basically without parental guidance. He talks about his years when he was in the upper teens, early 20s, of going to town dances, drinking. Then somehow a gal downstairs caught his attention. He lived with his sister Norma, who was about 5-7 years older than him, and she must have really guided him. But he caught the attention of this gal downstairs, which was Mom. There was 5 years difference, was there? 4 years difference. And about that time, he got inducted into the service. World War II was going on. They got married. They got married during Lent-time. They had to get special permission from the bishop to get married because he was going overseas. He went over to Italy. We were fighting in Italy. His unit was the first unit to be pulled out and put on ship for the invasion of Japan. Halfway across the Atlantic, the war got over with, and he was the first ship in to New York City after the war. From there, Mom and Dad got back together again, and they started having children. Dad was on construction, so they traveled. They were on the Garrisonville. They went to Louisville, Kentucky, and worked. He worked on different large projects. Mom went with them. They had children. And about the time that Mike was starting to get started in school, we settled in Revere, Minnesota, next to Mom's parents. And that's where we stayed for a number of years. Dad would travel, he'd work, he'd come home whenever the job was over with, or he'd make a special trip home. He worked on the missile sites in the Dakotas for quite a while. He'd get done working at the daytime, then he'd drive about 5 to 6 hours to get home. He would sleep part of Saturday, get up, spend time with the family, go back to bed on Saturday night, sleep, and take a nap Sunday afternoon, and he'd be gone again about 11 o'clock at night to go back to work in time, or get back to work in time for work in the morning. He always tried to get there so he'd get an hour's nap before he went back to work. But during that time that he was home on those weekends or the days, there's always yard work, always mechanical work on the cars at that time. I can remember working with him a lot of times. But he'd spend time. We'd go to relatives' places on weekends that isn't for a couple hours, come back. I do remember that as a kid, going around. I do have to tell you a story, though. This is one time that Mom got mad at him and stayed mad at him for at least a year. Mom loved to go to estate sales with her dad, and she bought an antique bed, the one where the headboard is about 6-7 feet tall. Well, that sat in a garage for quite a while. I was with Dad that day. Dad says, "We're never going to use that." And he took an axe to it without asking Mom. Yeah. She wasn't happy. All I can say. I don't know what he did to make up, but it took a while. But, family, he did express his love much, but he was there, he talked to us. He never raised a hand to us kids that I know of. But, whoops, we got a finger up in the air. I didn't know that.
I hit you over the knee with the jack-in-box, and Mom told him to give me a spanking.
Oh my, okay. Teresa got a spanking, but I do know that he could sit us down and talk to us in a normal voice. And we'd be sobbing. time he got done. Didn't take very long, and we were just in tears and crying. And that was the way he punished us. I think that was because of what he saw when he was a young child. He said he never wanted to be like that, never wanted to be like his dad. But, you know, as his kids grew up, Mom and Dad were in the house by themselves. Dad retired early because he had health problems in construction. And Grandma Steinle had moved in, and Mom and Grandma nursed him back to health, and then Grandma got kind of sick, and they nursed her back to health. So, I mean, it was time spent together, it was time taking care of each other. And then Mom got sick, and he fought tooth and nail, and Therese was there and fought to get Mom and keep Mom out of the nursing home. She went there to recover after a hospital stay, and they didn't want to let go of her. They wanted to keep her in. And they had to do whatever they could to get her home, and they did. And Dad wanted her to stay home till she passed on. And they kept her there till the last 36 hours of her life, and then he took her to the hospice. And Dad was with her almost all that time. Did he come home, Therese, to take a nap? He came home, and she passed away. Therese and Dad, and I think Michael, went back to the hospice. And I had never heard my dad sing. I never have. Therese has witnessed it, and Michael. He sang, "You Are My Sunshine" to Mom 3 or 4 times. Sorry about that, folks. And during the funeral, the priest allowed "You Are My Sunshine" play during the service. And he sang it then. So there's 4 times that people witnessed him singing. And that was just the love that he had for Mom. So, he's a guy who had a lot of feelings. He did express it. When Dad got older, he just got older and his body started wearing out. And we asked him, different people asked him at different times, "Dad, do you know God? Do you know Jesus?" He acknowledged them. But you know, you have to accept Jesus in your heart. Forgive us of his sin. To be in heaven, that's the gateway to heaven. And that's one thing I want you guys to remember. That he grew up from a bad environment to a wonderful environment. He always showed his love. Not physically, but just being there, being our dad. Thank you.